Hello, this is the Philippine New Land Trust, and you are watching Part 1, Foundation and Legal Framework.
Hi everyone! So, you're thinking about moving to the Philippines and you've probably started looking at housing options, right? Well, here's something that catches almost every foreigner off guard. Your housing choices are way more limited than you'd expect. And that's not because the Philippines doesn't want you here. There are actually really some smart reasons behind these restrictions. In this video, we're going to cover 3 big things. First, I'll walk you through what your real estate options actually are as a foreigner, and why most people end up settling for way less than they dreamed of. Then we'll dive into the Philippine Constitution and land ownership laws. And honestly, once you understand the reason behind them, they actually make a lot of sense. Finally, we'll talk about what Philippine New Land Trust is and what is definitely is not, because there is a lot of confusion out there about what we do. By the end of this, you'll have a clear picture of the legal landscape and how it affects your housing dreams. So, let's jump right in. The dream versus what actually happens. Okay, so picture this. You're planning your move to the Philippines and you're probably imagining this beautiful house with a garden, space for entertaining friends and family, room to really live that tropical lifestyle you've been dreaming about. But then you start looking at what's actually available to you. And suddenly, real estate agents are showing you condo units in high-rise buildings full of other expats. That is what I call the affordability paradox. You might have plenty of money, like you could easily afford a dream house, but you're being pushed toward the cramped condos because everyone says that it's the safe and legal options for foreigners. It's pretty frustrating when you think about it. Your 3 legal options and why they're problematic. So basically, as a foreigner, you've got 3 main legal paths, and honestly, each one has some serious drawbacks. First up, condominium ownership. You can legally own a condo unit as long as foreign ownership doesn't exceed 40% of the total units in the building. The thing is, you're stuck with whatever the space the developer built. You have zero control over the land underneath, and most of these buildings become what I call expat bubbles. You end up living with mostly other foreigners, which is comfortable, sure, but you're missing out on authentic Filipino culture. Second option, long-term land leases. Now this sounds promising because Philippine law doesn't allow foreigners to lease land for up to 50 years. 25 years plus a 25-year renewal. This open up houses with gardens, real privacy, the works, but here's the catch. Most of these arrangements are just informal arrangements between you and individual Filipino landowners. So basically, your housing security depends on maintaining a good personal relationship with someone who might die or move away or just change their mind about the arrangement. Third option, corporate ownership structures. Some foreigners create Filipino-majority corporations to indirectly control land. It's technically legal, but man, it's complicated to set up, expensive to maintain with all ongoing compliance requirements, and if you mess up the structure even a little bit, you could face serious legal problems. Plus, 60% of the corporation has to be owned by Filipinos anyway. Why most people end up settling? So here's what usually happens. Most expats end up in condos not because they actually prefer them, but because they don't know about legal alternatives. They're scared of the complications of informal leases, or they can just find professional services to help them navigate better options. And you know what? Many of these expat-focused developments actually create this cultural isolation thing. You end up living in a building full of other foreigners, shopping at expat-oriented stores, eating at Western restaurants, or it keeps you in a perpetual visitor mentality instead of letting you experience real culture and community. Why these laws actually make sense. Okay, so before we talk about solutions, let's understand why Philippine land ownership laws exist in the first place. Because honestly, once you get it, you'll realize these aren't arbitrary barriers, they're actually pretty smart protections. Think about it this way. The Philippine Constitution's restrictions on foreign land ownership protects Filipino heritage, family lands, and ancestral properties stay in Filipino hands across generations, preserving family wealth and cultural connections to specific places. Without these protections, wealthy foreign investors could quickly buy up prime land throughout the Philippines, driving up prices and pricing Filipino families right out of their own communities. We've seen this pattern in other countries that don't have these protections. There's also the food security angle. By keeping the agricultural land under Filipino control, the country ensures the domestic food production remains a national priority rather than being a subject to foreign agricultural speculation. And from a cultural preservation standpoint, Filipino communities maintain their integrity and traditions when land ownership stays within families and local communities. The legal framework that makes long-term leases possible. Now, here's what it gets interesting. Article 12 of Philippine Constitution does say that only Filipino citizens and Filipino majority entities can own land. But, and this is important, Filipino law, specifically the Investors Lease Act of 1993, explicitly permits long-term leases to foreigners. This isn't some loophole or workaround we're talking about here. This is an intentional legal provision that allows foreign investment and residence without transferring ownership. So basically, the law creates these win-win opportunities for Filipinos. Land ownership stays protected while still allowing economic benefits from foreign investment and retirement spending. For foreigners, secure long-term residence becomes possible with legal protection. And for country as a whole, economic development continues while sovereignty and cultural integrity remains protected. What do we actually do? Alright, so now that you understand the legal landscape, let me be completely clear about what Philippine New Land Trust offers through our HomeSecure program and what we absolutely do not do. First off, we are a legal intermediary working entirely within Philippine law. We facilitate legitimate long-term lease arrangements by acting as Filipino landowner who leases property to foreign residents. Every single transaction fully complies with Philippine constitutional requirements while giving foreigners the security and lifestyle they're looking for. We are also a Filipino land trust with a social mission. We're organized as a non-profit, ensuring that land remains Filipino-owned while providing foreigners access to their dream homes. When leases eventually end, properties either transfer to qualified Filipino heirs or return to our trust for reinvestments in Filipino home ownership programs. And here's something important. We bring professional structure and legal security to what has traditionally been this informal and risky process of private lease arrangements between individual foreigners and Filipino landowners. What we are not. Now, let me be crystal clear about we are not, because there's some confusion out there. We are not trying to circumvent Philippine law. We don't help foreigners get around land ownership restrictions. We work entirely within the legal framework that the Constitution provides for long-term leases. We are not a disguised ownership scheme. Foreign lessees remain lessees forever, never owners. The land stays Filipino-owned through our trust, exactly as Philippine law intends. We're not a real estate sales company. We don't sell property or profit from property appreciation. We are a service organization focused on facilitating legal lease arrangements. And we're not a property management company. Once we facilitate your lease and you move in, we step back. You live independently in your home just like you would anywhere else. Our approach to community integration. Here's something that sets us apart. We actually discourage creating foreigner clusters. Our goal is to integrate foreign residents into authentic Filipino communities where they can experience genuine cultural immersions. Because we encourage PNLT clients to find homes in predominantly Filipino neighborhoods rather than expat-heavy developments. Cultural preparation becomes essential for your success and happiness. As a foreigner in the Philippines, your housing options are limited. You can buy condos, but you're restricted to what developers build. You can try informal long-term leases, but they're risky. Or you can set up a corporation, but that's complex and expensive. Most people end up settling for condos in expat communities and miss out on their dream lifestyle. But here's the thing. These land ownership restrictions aren't arbitrary barriers. They're smart protections that preserve Filipino heritage, prevent land speculations, ensure food security, and maintain cultural integrity. The legal framework actually creates opportunities through legitimate long-term leases. And that's where Philippine New Land Trust comes in. We're not trying to get around the law. We're working within to provide a professional, structured solution. We facilitate long-term leases while ensuring land stays Filipino-owned and eventually benefits Filipino communities. So basically, understanding these foundations, your limited options, why the law makes sense, and what legitimate solutions look like, that's your starting point for making smart decisions about your Philippine home. In our next videos, we'll dive into exactly how our HomeSecure program works and what it could mean for your retirement plans. I'll see you in the next one.